Have you ever stood up and heard your knees crack and just laughed it off as getting older? What if that sound isn't age, but a warning sign your joints are breaking down faster than you think? Most people believe joint pain is inevitable, but that's not true. You're not a victim of time. You're the architect of your joints. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the silent habits that are secretly destroying them every single day, and the one simple move that could start reversing the damage right now. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never think about aging joints the same way again.
Let's talk about your joints for a second. You probably only think about them when they start to ache, right? Most of us just assume they wear out over time, and that's that. But what if that's not the whole story? What if you're actually the architect here, with way more control than you think? You know that sound. You stand up from your desk and your knee just creak. Or maybe your back feels stiff in the morning. It's so easy to just write it off as, well, I'm just getting older. But what if that pop, that creak, isn't just a birthday reminder? What if it's a signal, a call to action? So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with how your joints are supposed to work. Then we'll get into the 7 things that secretly wreck them. We'll walk through the 4 stages of damage. And then, this is the important part, we'll talk about the 2 paths you can take and your action plan for a long, mobile life. And of course, we'll wrap up with some of your top questions. All right, first things first. Before we can protect our joints, we really need to get how they work on a fundamental level. What's going on in there? Okay, meet the star of the show, hyaline cartilage. Picture this perfectly smooth, almost glassy surface that caps the ends of your bones inside a joint. It's incredibly tough. But here's the kicker, and this is crucial. It has 0 blood vessels, none, which means it can't get nutrients the way the rest of your body does. It has to rely on something else. And that something is called synovial fluid. You can think of this stuff as your joint's lifeblood. It's this thick fluid that does 2 massive jobs. First, it lubricates everything so your bones glide past each other without friction. Second, it's packed with nutrients like hyaluronic acid that feed that hungry cartilage. So how does the food get from the fluid to the cartilage? It's a brilliant little pump system. When you're resting, your cartilage is like a sponge, soaking up all that nutrient-rich fluid. Then when you move, when you walk or run, or even just stand up, your body weight squeezes the cartilage, pushing the fluid and all the waste products back out. This is why movement is literally medicine for your joints. You have to move to feed them. But what happens when this perfect system starts to break down? Well, the best analogy is to imagine sand getting into a finely tuned, well-oiled machine. As that cartilage starts to wear down, tiny little pieces break off. That debris then grinds away at the smooth surfaces every time you move, which creates even more damage and more debris. You can see how this quickly becomes a vicious cycle. So if natural aging is just a slow process, what are the things that are like throwing gasoline on that fire? This brings us to what we're calling the 7 silent saboteurs. These are the real-world factors that can seriously speed up joint damage. Okay, here's the list. Number 1 is just genetic aging. That's the one we can't do much about. But look at the rest. Mechanical stress, things like extra body weight or even flat feet, cold exposure, chronic inflammation from metabolic issues, physical inactivity, which we now know starves your joints, and then weak muscles and lactate buildup. The good news, we have a ton of influence over numbers 2 through 7. Let's just zero in on weak muscles for a second, because this quote just says it all. A beginner runs on their joints. A seasoned runner runs on their muscles. Your muscles are supposed to be your body's shock absorbers. If they're weak, all that impact, every single step you take, goes directly into your cartilage. Strong muscles are your joint's absolute best friends. So what happens if we just ignore all these saboteurs and let things run their course? Well, joint destruction isn't something that just happens overnight. It's actually a pretty predictable process that unfolds in 4 clear stages. It all starts very quietly in stage 1, with the cartilage just starting to thin out a little bit. You probably wouldn't even notice it. Then in stage 2, that sand we talked about, the debris, starts to build up. By stage 3, you're definitely going to feel it. The body's immune system kicks in, causing inflammation and swelling, and you might even get bone spurs. And stage 4? Well, that's when the cartilage is basically gone, and joint replacement surgery becomes the main option. Now, I know that timeline sounds pretty intimidating, but this is the pivot point in the story. This is the part where you realize you're standing at a fork in the road. You have a choice to make, and the path you end up on is decided by the small things you do every single day. And here's exactly what that choice looks like. Down one road, the path of inaction, You're looking at chronic pain, losing mobility, and yeah, probably surgery down the line. But that other road, the path of action, that leads to a life of mobility, of independence as you get older, and just the simple freedom of living a full life on your own joints. And if you're sitting there thinking, is this for real? Is this actually possible? Just listen to this. The doctor from our source material tells this incredible story about his grandfather. This man lived through unbelievable hardship, even had rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks the joints. And yet, he was walking on his own 2 feet, on his own joints until the day he died at 95. This isn't just a theory, it's proof. Okay, so you're ready to choose the path of action. Fantastic. Let's get into the good stuff. Your actual action plan. These are the practical, concrete steps you can take to start building more resilient joints for the long haul. First up, let's talk nutrition. There are these amazing compounds called senolytics and xenomorphics. Basically, think of them as a special cleanup crew for your body. They help clear out old, malfunctioning zombie cells that just hang around causing inflammation. Remember the grandfather from the story? He drank turmeric, which is full of curcumin, with black pepper every single day. A super simple habit with a potentially huge payoff. Now, let's go after those other saboteurs head on. If extra weight is an issue, focus on diet first to ease the load on your joints before you start pounding the pavement. Got flat feet? Get professionally prescribed insoles to fix that shock absorption. For weak muscles, strength training is non-negotiable. And to deal with lactate, you need to boost your mitochondria, your cellular power plants, through consistent activity. And when we talk about strength training for joint health, here's the golden rule. It's not about lifting as heavy as you possibly can. The real goal is low-impact, high-repetition work. Yeah, it can feel tedious, but that painstaking work is exactly what builds that strong, supportive muscular armor your joints desperately need. We have covered a ton of ground, so to wrap things up, let's quickly hit some of the biggest questions that are probably floating around in your head right now. And this has to be the number one question on everyone's mind. If the damage is already done, can you actually reverse it? So, here's the honest truth. While you can't magically regrow cartilage that's completely gone, if you catch things in those earlier stages, you can absolutely slam on the brakes. With proactive care, you can significantly slow down, or in some cases even stop, the process of destruction. And preserving the joints you have for decades to come, that's a massive win. So if you only remember a few things from our talk today, make it these. 1. You are the main driver of your joint health. You are in control. 2. Movement is medicine. It is how you feed your cartilage. 3. Strong muscles are your joint's best line of defense. And 4. It is never too late to take proactive steps that can slow or even stop the damage. So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. What is one small change, just one thing, that you will make today to start building better, healthier joints for all of your tomorrows? So here's the bottom line. Your joints aren't your enemy. You are the architect. Every step, every choice, every bit of movement feeds or starves them. Remember, movement is medicine, strong muscles are protection, and consistency is your secret weapon. If this video gave you a new way to think about your joints, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell. Now it's your turn. What's one small change you'll make starting today to protect your joints? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one of them. Stay active, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.